You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kirsten.
Yeah, you heard it.
The big show.
And my friends, my fellow Capitals fans, you know whose voice that was? Yeah, I think you do.
Some say that karma is a bitch.
And I say that karma's a bitch.
Some say that karma is a bitch.
Will karma ever
The big show.
be on the favor side of the Capitals? We don't know.
So last week I had to travel.
This is my friend that stayed in a haunted hotel.
I called about 3 hotels. They didn't have any.
It was less scary than watching the Capitals last season.
But I did call
show.
a hotel
And
that
she
had a
recovered.
room for me.
She recovered after
Didn't know
a
it
few
was
short weeks in a mental hospital.
hotel.
Yeah. You're listening to Caps on Tap, the spin-off show of Truth on Tap. Your host, Kevin Kierstead. We're going to talk about the Capitals today. We're going to talk about what they're missing. We're going to talk about what they have already and have in order. We're going to talk about some of the new acquisitions. And we're going to talk about some things going on in the league. I'm going to give you a few disclaimers up front. First of all, I'm on a DSL connection. I hope that the quality is acceptable. Secondly, I am not a hockey expert. It is one of only a few sports that I've never played in an official capacity. However, ever since I was 2 years old in 1974, I've been a Capitals fan. So this will be the hardcore fan perspective show on the Capitals. Now, I'm not a guy who gets too critical, because no matter what you say in the NHL, life is not easy. They may get paid well, but they go through hell as well. And that's just something that I believe, and I'm not going to go beating up on anybody because they let a goal in or they whiffed on a shot or anything along those lines. So you're not going to hear me get vicious. Now, some of my callers, when we get Skype set up for calls, will get vicious. Some of the chat people in the chat rooms, I will read their vicious comments. But I'll probably, add my own angle to that and try to tone it down a little bit. It just depends. If you have a gross incident of negligence that has cost our team a game, I'm probably going to harp on it for a while. Yeah, why not? We're fans. We have a certain amount of leniency in our professional demeanor when it comes to our Capitals and how they're performing. When you look at this year's roster and some of the new acquisitions, and we have some losses as well, I'm sitting here, and before I even start talking about the new guys, I think we've got a couple of old guys that really don't get enough credit. Can you guess who I'm going to talk about in that capacity? I'm just going to mention a couple. Before I mention them, I'm going to talk about Eric Fair. He's been disappointing me. He used to be a real wild card that just showed up out of the blue from a back door, throwing the puck in the net. It was that simple. Troy Brouwer took that wand for a while. And most recently, the guy that has taken the, I would say do we still even have him on the team? I hope so. He's taken the surprise wand away. No, we got rid of him. I can't even remember his name right now. But he was, God, it's just, I have been up for 36 hours. So anyway, it was the guy last year that we had. He came from the Dallas Stars, I believe. He was good. He was our wild card. He would slow the pace, pick up the pace. Maybe somebody in the chat room can help me with that. But who do you think I'm going to talk about has not been given enough credit? Got any idea? I'll give you a clue. How about that? Would you like a clue? Here we go. What was that? What was that? That was Jason Chimera. He's got flames shooting out his ass. That son of a bitch is fast. How about him? He has a problem with one-on-ones getting the puck in the net, though, doesn't he? Is he too fast for his own good? I feel a lot of sympathy for this man. He's so fast that it pisses everybody off. So when he gets down the ice and gets up on the boards and he beats everybody else like he always does, they're all mad. And they do that cops chasing bad guys, too much adrenaline at the end routine where they beat them. You've probably seen that report. Well, that's what they do to Jason, the poor guy. He gets punished because he's fast. They want to beat up on him and bang on him because he wins the races. Oh, that drives me nuts, the poor guy. I'm surprised he's not in more fights. You know, he's about medium on fighting as the NHL fights go these days, as far as how often he'll get in one. And he's a scrapper. He's a pretty good scrapper, I think. He's not an enforcer, but Johnny is our enforcer, as you know. We used to have Brashear. He was a good enforcer, but he kind of just lived for that. That was his only function, in my view. Not a huge force except to intimidate people on the ice. Ovechkin, you got a couple of things working for him right now. I realize that you may think he passed his peak, and maybe he did, but he's got motivation now because he's got every award you can win except a Stanley Cup. And I'll tell you for one, I am damn sick and tired of hearing people talk about how Skinned Knee Cries Boy has a Stanley Cup. That's a team effort. That's something no one man has ever won, and no one man will ever win. Okay, take a look at individual achievements if you want to compare Cindy to OV. Take a look at individuals. Take a look at that trophy wall. Okay, and Cindy doesn't even come close. Let's just go off on this for a second. You want to tell me that Crosby can even compete on the same level as Ovechkin? And I can hear Mike Milbury right now. I hate that son of a bitch. You're going to tell me that when you have to factor in what when you decide if a hockey player is great? Speed, ability to score, number of goals versus shots on net, number of assists, ability and effort on defense, and hitting. Hitting is a category. It goes up on your stats. Ovechkin throws 10 times as many hits as Cindy does, and he throws hard ones. You're not even in the same league as Ovechkin, Cries Boy. Don't come in here with that bullshit. You're big enough to throw some hits. You're just a wimp. I mean, when the NHLPA votes him the whiniest guy in the league, you got to give that some credibility, do you not? I do. I have to. For those of you that heard my intro, I'll tell you what I do. And in case you didn't hear it, I'm just going to give you a little taste here.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierster.
There it is. Yeah. You heard it. You know who that is, don't you? Say his name. Go ahead and say it out loud in your room right now. You're going to wake people up? It's okay. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. Say it. Scream it. What's his name? That's Wes Johnson. That's the Capitals Arena announcer. When you go into a stadium to watch a Capitals game, for those of you that haven't been to one, he will climb up into the speakers and become Nikola Tesla. And he will shoot you with 15 million volts and knock you 3 rows back with his yell. The man is electricity defined across the airwaves. When he starts yelling, you can't help but get excited. You don't even have to be a hockey fan. You won't even know why you're getting excited. It's Wes. It's Wes Johnson at work. Yeah, sure is. Great guy. I've talked some with him. I've had some interaction with him, all in text, as well as Ted Leonsis, all through just messages, nothing in person. I'm not going to try to act like I rub elbows with these guys, but they are very personable and very down to earth, and neither of them let their egos get to them. And I think it's far too rare in not only the NHL as far as the upper echelon, but in the professional world in general. This attitude of, I can't associate with you. You're not in my class of people. I'm Dr. Howe. Well, screw you. You're going to get what you deserve eventually, because some say that karma is a bitch, and I think some are right. Looking back at the roster, I'm looking at who I'm pleased with. When I look at Nicky, he's got such good stability. He's just a guy that comes to play every game. He doesn't knock your socks off, but boy is he predictable. He uses his moves. I love Swedish hockey players for that. They've always got moves. They've always got this intensely good puck handling ability. Oh, there are exceptions, but they're rare. You know the difference. You know a Swede when you see him on the ice. You can almost tell just by the way he handles the puck. They can be confused with some of your better Russians as well. You know, on first glance, you might confuse a Datsuk for a Nick Backstrom. The puck handling and passing are superb. Nick Backstrom, his passing and puck handling alone, he didn't have to do anything else, qualifies him to be on the first line, in my view. And he's just, he is our core, if you ask me. I know everybody thinks OV's the core. OV's a star, and he's a performer, and he's a damn good performer, except when he gets in his mood. You know how that goes, and that's pretty rare, at least statistically speaking. But Nicky is the backbone upon which this team is built. The very quiet leader, just doing it, saying, here's how you do it, and bringing it every game. Now, he doesn't bring it as hard down in the trenches as a Brooksy might. He's not digging as hard into the ice as a Chimera is when he does his flyby. But he's coming and he's playing, and he's predictable and he's solid. You don't see Nicky have a lot of bad games. Some games are rather uneventful for him, but he's just always alert and on guard and doing the right thing. Yet, just like Mike Green looks, I'm saying looks, he will pass in this nice smooth fashion as if they're just at a practice. And why do they say looks about Mike Green? Well, that could be some form of laziness. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Mike Green. I love the way that when he passes, especially when he's coming up the ice, it looks so effortless. Like he's not worried about anybody picking it off. And they do once in a while. But it's just nice and relaxed looking. He has that kind of magical slowness about him. Like he doesn't have to rush. And most times he doesn't. He pulls it off. We need him to come in. We need him to turn back into game over green. That's something that's been missing. So what's going on with him? Is he not experiencing his mid-career crisis? What's going to happen when these stars start looking for other teams, looking to get their contract bought out and looking for somebody they can win a cup with? You know, OV is highly motivated right now. He knows that he's going to start heading downhill on the backside of his career. You can't stay young forever. And he wants one. You know he wants one. He's got to be the most competitive athlete in hockey I've ever laid eyes on. And I know some people are going to, argue that, but he's so damn competitive and hates to lose at anything. And he's got to win at everything, and he's got to win one of everything. And, he's going to get a cup one way or the other. And I hope he doesn't have to leave the Washington Capitals to get one. Looking elsewhere on the roster, I hope Brooksy's okay. We're going to want him back. Eric Fair, we need him to show up more. He used to be a tease. He used to be hanging out in the shadows and then just show up with the puck straight into the back of the net. We need a little bit more of that. We had it 2 years ago. We had it 3 years ago. We didn't have it last year. Matthew Perreault, the first time he played for the Washington Capitals, I was in the stadium. I was in the arena. And I knew then, I told my friend Dave, we were watching a game, and I think it was actually a preseason game. And we're watching him, but him and Varlamov were out there that game. And I said, this is a first. I said, I'm looking at two new players that I haven't watched much before that are going to end up in the Hall of Fame. And that's a rather bold prediction on my part, but I still believe it, and I stand by it. And this was 3.5 years ago, I guess. Matthew Perreault is a little on the small side. I worry about that. I hope he stays healthy, but he's got all the energy, 10 times the spirit, and all the moves you need of the typical cup-holding champion. So he's going to get there if he stays healthy. Varlamov, if he can keep that groin healthy, I think the man is Bruce Lee between the pipes. And by the way, if you hear that term anywhere else, I coined that. I've seen it floating around the internet a little bit. I coined that. Bruce Lee between the pipes, because that's what he does. That's how fast he is. It's like he's doing kung fu when he's on, when he's not having a slack game. and I wish we had never gotten rid of them. And I'm jealous of Colorado. I presume they still have them. I don't follow off-season news very, very tightly. I represent the traditional, typical fan. Okay, I'm a 6 out of 10 on the all-time Capitals knowledge, if you want to rate it. The hardcore fans know dates of everything. They know times. They know who left when and who signed when and how many goals they had. I'm not there. If I get that deep into it, it stops being fun. I'm never going to do that because I love my Capitals. So I know when to stop something so I don't burn out on it, when to stop digging. I'm pretty good with stats throughout the year. I know just about everything you can know from just observing hockey. I know what's coming. I know when a team has decided to sit on their lead. I know when someone's hurt but trying to hide it. I know when a coach doesn't know what to do. I can read the body language like a book. These are things you learn after years and years as a fan of watching every game. I started off very young going to hockey games in southeastern Virginia. We would go watch the Hampton Aces play. They were a semi-pro team. And they faded away. And then, of course, we had the Norfolk Admirals emerge. I've been to those games as well. Been to a lot of games. When I was stationed in Alaska with the Air Force, I would go to the Alaska Gold Kings games, and they were in Fairbanks. And we would actually go out and drink beer with them afterward. It was always fun. And, hockey's always been central to my entertainment part of my life. It's just, I love it. I love it. I love a good hockey game. How can you not? I ask people, how can you not love a good hockey game? You have hits that are at 5 times the speed of football. You have people that will get their teeth knocked out and continue to play. Name another sport where you see that. You have people who will drop the gloves, throw down. You'll have a heavyweight fight, and all you got to do is sit in a box for 5 minutes afterward. You know, the speed at which it moves, the intensity with which it's played, the electricity in the crowd, especially when you've got a Washington Capitals crowd along with the Wes Johnson, you can't go wrong. It's just nirvana for the Capitals fan. And we need our team to live up to our expectations. You know, 1974, this team was born, and we don't have a cup to show yet. Now, I know there are 8 or 10 other teams that also do not have a cup yet, so we're not getting singled out, you know, in that way to be ridiculed. But we're past due. Statistically speaking, we're past due for a cup, and we need to get one very soon. I'm tired of having my hopes blown away, you know. And I used to be a huge Redskins fan. Now I'm like a fair weather fan. I've always stuck with the Capitals. But with the Reds, I don't want to turn into that with the Capitals. I don't think I ever will. I love hockey too much. But, you know, I actually played football in high school for 4 years. So I developed this huge respect for it from an outside of the fan zone, but inside of the play zone. And then I became a coach. When I joined the Air Force, I coached Little League up in Alaska and I've gained respect for that sport on every side you can gain it. Coach, player, spectator. But the Redskins broke my heart so many times, I became numb to it. And I just stopped watching from about 2001 to 2008 or so. So I can't count myself as a real fan. So I admit to people I'm a fair weather fan. I like to see them play good. I'm not hurt when they don't. You know, I'm just numb to it. Capitals, it can ruin my week. It can ruin my week when they lose a couple games. You know, and it can make my month when OV scores a hat trick on the Penguins. You know, you remember. Oh my goodness. I could have. I don't know. I think I could have sung opera that day, effectively and well. I could have sung opera right there in Chinatown, and people would have been throwing money at me. It would have been so good. That's how happy I was. You know, it's amazing that what a sports team can do to an individual. You know, the people out there that don't get into sports would say that's not healthy to be that connected to a team that's really a business and they just want your money. Well, it's a good point. It's a good point if you're speaking from the stance of reason, but it's not a good point if you're speaking from the stance of a fan. A fan being short for fanatic, and you can look that up. You know, What's going to happen if OV becomes a total dud and just decides I can't win a cup with this team I'm playing with, so I'm just not going to try anymore. Yeah, that's what they'll say. That's what people will say. Oh yeah, and they'll throw things at them. I was at one game. It was a playoff game. I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago. We were playing the Pens. We ended up losing in Game 7. I think this was Game 5 I was at. They were throwing full beers, and not just a couple. I'm talking about probably 35 to 45 full cups of beer being thrown at the officials that game. And they would run. They ran off the ice into this tunnel that was semi-covered to get off the ice and get back into the locker rooms. People get pretty fired up by what their team's doing. Is OV being paid too much? Yeah, well, maybe. But you know what it's like. You know how great it is when you're there, you're in that stadium, you're feeling it. You got your beer in one hand, you got your phone in the other. You're looking around and you're in a sea of red. Wes is chanting over the microphone. OV skating around the net, stretching out. They're getting ready to drop the puck in the middle of the ice. The air is filled with electricity. We want our win, don't we? We want our win. We want to win our fights. We want to win our battles. We want to punish our enemies. And you're feeling it. And it's got you more alive than you've ever felt before. You are at a Washington Capitals hockey game. There's no feeling like it. There is no feeling in the world like this. And it is greatness. It is fan nirvana. And there's nothing you can replace that with. I tell you, I can't wait to get back to a game. It's been a couple of years, and circumstances right now have me away from the arena. But I'll be back. I'll get back there. There's nothing like it. I've often wondered if that's what heroin feels like. You know, it's got to feel something like that, because once you try it, once you get to a Capitals game in person, you just want more and more and more. And the high is it makes everything in your head tingle, and you get goosebumps all over your body. I mean, it's a biological mystery to me, how great it can feel to be at a Caps game, and especially when they're winning, and how bad it can feel when they've lost. It'll ruin you. And what's worse, this is what I tell me what you do. I'm in the chat room now if you want to come in. What do you do when you have just watched a Capitals game and you are dealing with a fan from the other team and you have lost? The Capitals have given up a game, especially if it's Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. You want to beat them up, don't you? That's what nature is telling you to do. But we're civilized humans. We don't do that. We let them express their view. But they pick, don't they? They dig. How's that Ovechkin doing now? I wish they made like a foam fist that was legal to punch somebody with, because I could figure out a way to make it hurt. But they don't. And so you got to use your words to dig back. And that's not always easy when you've just suffered a loss and you can barely speak, especially if it's a playoff loss. What do you do to those people? You know, it's just, I don't know. I get so angry. I don't get the kind of enraged angry like I'm actually going to do something, but just, how disrespectful. You won, man. Just take your win and walk away. You got to rub it in. That's just classless in my view, but alcohol does strange things to people. I don't even drink, but there is one spot in my life where I will not rule out drinking, and that is at a Washington Capitals hockey game. Everywhere else, I just don't drink. I'm not into it. But you get me at a Capitals game, I'll sample all the beers, some of the liquors. Doesn't matter. It's just, it adds to the environment. It's just great. Maybe that's part of the high, right? No, it's not. I know what feeling drunk is, and that's not what I feel at a Capitals game. at least until late in the third period. We're going to get out of here soon. This was a pilot episode of Caps on Tap, Earn My Respect, and that's exactly what I'm saying to my team. And that's exactly what this whole fan base is saying to our team. Go out there and play as if this is the last year the NHL will ever exist, and you will have no more chances to win the cup. The reason you need to do that is because nothing else has worked for you. You know, I know Oates has a system. I believe his system is starting to work, but a system and a coach is not what wins cups. It's grit, determination, cohesiveness on the ice, camaraderie. None of these little cliques, these little separate cliques in friendship forming in the locker room. Get rid of that. Become a family that spends time together off the ice. Get to know each other on the ice so well that you know where a player is going to be 5 seconds from now and have no question in your mind about it. That's how you're going to bring home a Stanley Cup to Washington for the first time. And we're waiting for it. We're ready for it. We're due for one. So I hear you, Caps fans. I hear your pain. You probably hear a little bit of mine in my voice. I'm not my normal fired up self as I think about how the Caps have performed over the past few years. But I love my team, and I will be standing by them. And there's really nothing else I can add to this right now. We're going to talk on the next show about specific players and their deals and what they've what they've got in their future, how they're going to work with the team we already have, and we'll get much deeper into the game plan of what is going down from the system side, that being from Oates, to see if that's really going to work or if it's just more of a stay alive defense system. I believe his style will slightly adjust this year to be more aggressive, but we'll have to wait and see. And I want to hear your differences of opinion on this. So hopefully this will gain some kind of following and we can have a good Capitals discussion post-game, pre-game, during game. As I have to do, there is a local band here where I live called Bad Ace. And it's my good luck charm to play a song as I leave by Bad Ace. They're a rock band. And this one is going to be this one is actually called Don't Leave Me Alone. If you've never been to southeastern Virginia and heard Bad Ace, do yourself a favor and go check them out. You can look them up on the internet as well. So you've been listening to Caps on Tap with your host, Kevin Kierstead. Peace!
Discouragement